The first weekend of preseason games is over, so I'm going to give my thoughts on what stood out to me, especially from the rookies. We were able to learn a lot about the younger players from the Dallas Wings and Aces game. Paige Bueckers had a solid debut, as she scored 10 points on only 7 shots. There doesn't really seem to be a consensus on how Paige played. There's just as many people saying she played terrible as there are people saying she played great. She didn't put up crazy numbers we've seen from other players, but I'm not remotely worried about that. It's clear the Dallas Wings starters aren't interested in deferring to Paige Bueckers, so she's going to have to be like Isaiah and JJ and take matters into her own hands. And eventually I think she will. If there's anything I'm concerned about, it's her defense. She was getting served up by the Aces guards. I'm not going to freak out over one game, but it's clear she has a lot to learn on that side of the ball. Paige has been a good defender throughout her college career, but it looks like it's going to take a while for that to translate to the W. Anyone who watched Aaliyah James at NC State isn't surprised by her debut. She didn't have eye-popping averages like some other players did in college, but it was very clear she had a skill set that was going to translate to the WNBA. Dallas got some criticism for drafting Aaliyah James at 12 because they had so many guards, but she's one of those players you have to draft regardless of fit. She's someone that's too talented to pass up on, especially when she shouldn't have even been available at 12 in the first place. I took some heat a few months ago for suggesting that JJ Quinterly was more deserving of the Big 12 Player of the Year award than Hailey Van Lith. I still stand by that statement. You're trading a little bit of playmaking for someone that can score just as well, but is a significantly better defender. It's not any disrespect to Hailey, it's just how high I view JJ Quinterly. She had limited time against the Aces, but made an instant impact. She scored 16 points while going 7 for 10 from the field, and had 2 steals in only 13 minutes. I know teams are hoping either Aaliyah James and JJ Quinterly get cut, because they will be on a roster right away. I really hope Dallas is able to keep both, but they are going to have to make some tough cuts to make that possible. I was a little annoyed with Becky Hammon. Most of the younger players barely got an opportunity to show what they could do to potentially make the roster. I don't think we really needed to see Jackie Young play 30 minutes, or Chelsea Gray play 25. We know they can hoop. It's about the end of the bench people in the preseason. But one person who really got to shine was Aaliyah Nye. She was letting that thing fly. Aaliyah went 4 from 6 from the 3, and I think a lot of rookies could learn from Aaliyah Nye's performance. You got to do what you got you drafted. Aaliyah played to her biggest strength, which was her 3-point shooting, and now she'll most likely make the roster because of it. I'm going to be honest, I don't put any stock in the Chicago versus Brazil game. Chicago looked pretty good, but Brazil clearly isn't on the level of a professional American team, especially when they are missing so many key players. I'm not convinced this team could even beat any top 10 college team. I'll talk a lot more about the Sky when we see them play their 2 preseason games against Minnesota. And I feel the exact same way about the Fever going against Brazil too. The game was over after only a few minutes of play. The game they played against the Mystics and the game they have this week versus Atlanta will tell us a lot more than going against Brazil will. But it's clear Sophie Cunningham was a massive pickup for the Fever. If she stays coming off the bench, I think she runs away with the 6th Woman of the Year. She's always been a good player, but now she's going to play with a level of ball movement she's never had before. What makes Sophie so important is she's their only consistent scorer off the bench right now. Lexi Hull and Damaris Dantis have their moments, but Sophie is a player that's routinely going to be in the double digits in the scoring column. I'm hoping we see a lot more Michaela Timpson action against Atlanta. The fact Jaylen Brown is getting noticeably more minutes than her makes me nervous. I definitely think it would be a huge mistake to keep Jaylen over Timpson, but we'll see what happens. Moving on to the Mystics, they have a lot to be happy about with Sonia Citron. I've never seen a faster switch up when it comes to a draft prospect than what I've seen with Sonia. Before this game, there were questions about her being a lottery pick, but now she's getting hyped as a Rookie of the Year candidate. If history has taught us anything, it's that you better draft a star Notre Dame guard. Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo got most of the shine at Notre Dame, but Citron was just as important, and there were many games where she was the best player. I'm very excited to see what she will do for the Mystics this season. Lucy Olsen had a very rough box score, but I don't think it's something to sound the alarm over. If she was turning the ball over and getting her shot blocked, it would be one thing, but she was missing shots that she normally could make. The biggest thing I saw is that she would pass up on an open mid-range to shoot a contested layup instead. Her first shot was a mid-range, which she made, but for whatever reason she didn't shoot another for the rest of the game. Not playing to her strengths is what contributed to her bad play. I'm hoping that the Mystics don't cut her and give her more chances to shine, but we'll see. Kiki also had a rough debut against the Fever. She was 2 for 7 from the field and had 4 turnovers. She will definitely need to clean the turnovers up, but I'm not worried about the missed shots as much. It's shots we've seen her routinely make, and I would much rather her be aggressive than miss one shot and essentially stop shooting. It's important for a rookie to have confidence. The big question mark for the Mystics will be the point guard position. Not having a point guard like Georgia clearly affected their offensive sets, and it's going to be a lingering problem all season. Before I talk about Connecticut and Seattle, I wanted to give my condolences to Sania Rivers. There's nothing worse than the loss of a loved one. I wish her nothing but the best, and I pray she's able to have the strength to keep going and have a prosperous life. The Connecticut Sun has to hope some teams get rid of some good players because they looked awful. Obviously, they had a lot of players out, but they still need to make some massive roster improvements. JC Sheldon looked great defensively, but I'm still seeing a lot of the problems she had in Dallas. She was way too passive, especially in the first half, and she's settling for too many threes. Connecticut has no shot of being successful next year unless JC can at least become a double-digit scorer. They are already so limited offensively as is. I try to find some good things to take away, even if a player didn't play well. But I'm just going to be honest. Serena Sundell's debut was an absolute disaster. There was so many intercepted passes that I thought I was watching Justin Herbert in the playoffs. In all seriousness, I want her to do well, but she looked really rough out there. What makes her performance especially concerning is that it's not like she was getting to her spots but was just missing. She was getting absolutely suffocated on defense to the point where she couldn't even get open, and we didn't see any of the high-level playmaking she had in college. On the other hand, Mackenzie Holmes couldn't have had a better night. She had 9 points while going 4 for 5 from the field, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks. If Seattle decides to cut her, she'll be on another roster in 2 seconds. It might even be Connecticut considering how bad they are. What's interesting to me is she somehow looks faster post-knee injury than when she played for Indiana. She was running the floor extremely well and was just as effective on defense as she was on offense. Seattle really has to ask themselves if it is worth letting a promising player like Mackenzie Holmes walk out the door to protect other end-of-the-bench players. Another player that is on the fence is Zia Cook. Just like her South Carolina days, she had no problem slashing and getting to the rim, which allowed her to score 9 points. But she went 0 for 4 from 3 and really struggled on defense. She is one of those players that I think will heavily benefit from more expansion. She's a player that has potential, but it's hard for her to get a good footing in the league right now. It will be interesting to see who Seattle decides to keep between Serena Sundell, Mackenzie Holmes, and Zia Cook. I have a weird feeling it will end up being Sundell, even though she didn't play very well. They'll be less inclined to keep Mackenzie because they already have so many bigs. And I think they'll keep Sundell over Cook because she's 3 years younger and they badly need a backup PG. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.